Setting up a Soxhlet extraction. For building a Soxhlet extraction system, the following components are required: a tripod, 2 clamps, a support jack, an isomantle, a round bottom flask, a condenser, 2 lengths of tubing, a Soxhlet extractor, extraction thimble, glass marbles, cotton wool, plastic clamp, glass beaker, and the sample to be extracted, pepper. Put the stand in the fume hood. The support jack is on the foot of the stand. Note that you set up the foot of the stand and do not do it next to it. If the setup is next to it, it may fall over. Raise the jack and place the isomantle on it. Attach a clamp to the stand and hang the round bottom flask in it. Make sure the clamp rests in the holder. Attach a second clamp to the tripod. Put the Soxhlet extractor and condenser on the flask and attach the clamp to the condenser and a plastic clamp to the connection between the Soxhlet and the condenser. The clamp should be attached to the middle of the condenser, not at the top. The setup is now almost complete. Attach a tube to the lower port of the condenser. This is where water will enter. Attach the other end of this tube to the tap. The water will flow up when the tap is turned on. To drain the water, the second tube is attached to the upper port of the condenser and the other end placed in the sink drain. If the tube does not stay in the drain, it can be weighed down by a part of the clamp. Now examine the setup. When the support jack is lowered, the flask is not in contact with the heat source. This is important to remember if you want to cool the solution. In addition, make sure that your clamps are tight and that the tubing does not leak when you turn on the water. Take the thimble and place it in a beaker and place on the weighing scales. Fill the thimble with the required amount of solid material to be extracted. Cover your sample with fat-free cotton wool and fill the sleeve further with glass marbles if the thimble is not very full. This reduces the volume of extraction solution needed. Remove the condenser from the setup and place the thimble in the Soxhlet extractor. Remove the flask from the setup and put in some boiling chips or a stirring rod to prevent flash boiling. Add the solvent through the top of your condenser to your flask. This immerses your sample completely in solvent. This ensures that there is enough solvent so that the flask will not dry up. When everything is attached again, adjust the settings of the isomantle. Adjust the setting to minimum for gentle heating and to maximum for fast heating. Press the green button on the plug and turn on the green button on the isomantle. After a few minutes, check that your flask is being heated. Your extraction will start now. The Soxhlet extraction begins when the Soxhlet chamber has been filled with solvent and empties into the flask for the first time. Start timing from that point. Instead of an isomantle, we can of course use other heat sources such as a water bath or a dry sin block. When your extraction is finished, turn off the isomantle and move it away from the flask. This will help to cool down the flask faster. When the flask has cooled, you can remove it from the setup. Your sample is now ready for further processing.